Welcome back everybody to the streets of Baku for your practice report for the Formula 1 2021 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Now, for those of you that are new, or for those of you that need a little bit of a refresher, in the practice report we'll be going through each of today's Formula 1 practice sessions, FP1 and FP2, going through all of the times, all of the juicy stories and incidents from today's sessions, and have a discussion about which teams, which drivers are looking good heading into qualifying and, more importantly, heading into the race. As always, if you are new, feel free to subscribe to keep up to date with all Formula 1 2021 content, and if you do indeed enjoy, remember to hit that like button below. But without further ado, let's jump into our first set of times from FP1 this morning. Kicking things off where he left off in Monaco, Max Verstappen leads the way in our first practice session in Baku. Charles Leclerc was second for Ferrari, less than a tenth of Max Verstappen, and with Sainz in third, could Ferrari be Red Bull's biggest threat this weekend? Another team that were not near the top, 7th and 10th for the Mercedes duo. Hamilton, 7/10 of Max Verstappen, Bottas 1.7 in the morning session. The honey badger himself, Daniel Ricciardo, was P5, an impressive session considering his difficult start to life at McLaren. His only non-score of the season was last time out at Monaco, and so far this weekend appears to have a slight edge over teammate Norris, who finished 8th in the morning session. Gasly continued his strong start to 2021 in 6th, and Fernando Alonso looked to bounce back 9th place, but on the medium tyres put in a really strong performance in FP1. Your bottom half of the time started off with Kimi Räikkönen and Antonio Giovinazzi, both Alfa Romeos looking really strong around the streets of Baku. 2 seconds off the quickest time of Verstappen was Lance Stroll, with Vettel only 2 places behind, leaving Yuki Tsunoda in an Aston Martin sandwich in his first trip to the streets of Baku. It was a difficult session for Esteban Ocon's 16th place for the French driver, only in front of the 2 Williams of Russell and Latifi and the 2 Haas cars of Schumacher and Mazepin. In the afternoon, Red Bull's dominance continued, Ferrari continued to look strong, Mercedes continued to struggle, neither of the Silver Arrows making it into the FP2 top 10. As described by Christian Horner, Sergio Perez with the best performance of the season so far. Yes, Christian Horner said that. Topped FP2, a Red Bull 1-2, they really do look good around this circuit. Sainz was third with Leclerc 4th. Do Ferrari have the pace to get their second pole position in a row? I'm not too sure, but we'll take a little bit more of a deeper look in a moment's time in our performance graphic. Pierre Gasly looked to build on his impressive morning session, finishing 1 place higher in the afternoon, 5th for the Frenchman, with the Spaniard Fernando Alonso re-finding that bit of form in 6th place for Alpine. Giovinazzi, a man on fire in qualifying this year, 7th place in FP2, in front of the lead McLaren of Norris in 8th, Ocon in 9th, improving in the afternoon, with Yuki Tsunoda rounding out your top 10. Lewis Hamilton, 11th place, was the best the Mercedes man could do, 1 second off the best time of Sergio Perez, only a 10th in front of Kimi Räikkönen. Ricciardo also struggled in the afternoon, 13th place, but just remember, with all practice times, take them with a pinch of salt, especially around Baku. So many yellow flags, a windy, gusty circuit, and traffic galore. Though FP2 is normally a little bit more representative of a car and driver's true pace, that's not necessarily a factor when it comes to a street circuit like Baku. Behind Ricciardo was the 2 Aston Martins of Stroll and Vettel, 14th and 15th, struggling to find that bit of pace all weekend long so far for the Astons, but Valtteri Bottas, 16th place for the Mercedes driver, 2 seconds off Max Verstappen, work to do for the Silver Arrows. Russell was 17th, Mazepin 18th, and Schumacher and Latifi both running into mechanical issues 19th and 20th. A more than eventful day in Baku saw most of the drivers at one point locking up, at one point running wide, several hitting the barriers. And in your incident report, I could go on forever, but in FP1, your main stories were Nikita Mazepin crashing at turn 16. Thankfully for him, no damage was sustained on that Haas car, but many drivers finding turn 16 in particular super tricky, with Norris also joining Mazepin in making a mistake at that corner, spinning around, facing his teammate Ricciardo, who was coming the other way. Bottas had a huge look-up at turn 2, again many other drivers following suit, but was joined by Lando Norris almost seconds after, and Yuki Tsunoda found contact with the wall at turn 4, going straight on and struggling to get the car turned around. In FP2, our big stories were Nicholas Latifi with an engine failure for Williams, almost having no running, just 6 laps for the Williams driver in his first ever weekend in Azerbaijan, and Charles Leclerc not quite having an I am stupid moment just yet, but again at turn 15 running into the barriers and losing his front wing halfway through the session. However, something to keep in mind in our additional notes in our incident report: wind is a huge issue around this circuit. It caught out many, if not all of the drivers over the course of today's 2 sessions, and I am guaranteed this will cause carnage in the race, but also qualifying, and could lead to a few spicy stories with drivers getting through to Q2 or maybe Q3 if they can just about hook up a lap and other drivers are struggling to get the grips of the wind. So then, with 2 practice sessions down, only 1 more to go until qualifying, I think your predicted running order looks like this. Red Bull seem to be the team to beat again, leading the drivers, leading the constructors, but heading into this weekend, it was very much expected that Mercedes would be the strongest package. However, though Sector 3 is in Mercedes' favour, it's Sector 2, that really tight, twisty, narrow part of circuit that includes the infamous Cashel section that's been reprofiled for this year. Mercedes, along with Aston Martin, are losing so much time. Mercedes almost half a second down alone in Sector 2 compared to Red Bull. But I do think if you look at their race runs at the end of FP2, Mercedes do still look strong and I think will still be a threat come race day. Ferrari look quick in 1 lap, but tyre wear really does seem to be an issue. It was a theme we saw in the first early few rounds, and though their pace seems particularly good around Monaco and not too bad here in Baku, I think in race conditions they will fall a little bit behind those front 2 and into the clutches of McLaren. AlphaTauri seem to be around the same kind of pace as Alpine, a little bit off McLaren, but in front of Alfa Romeo, who I believe are in front of Aston Martin, and Williams and Haas, a difficult day for both teams, I think are quite a bit off the rest of the field this weekend. But just before we conclude our practice report, it's prediction time, and yesterday I gave you this grid to give me your predictions for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I wanted to know in qualifying who would be on pole, who would be on the front row, and who would be the biggest shock. And in the race, I wanted to know your winner podium, the first DNF, the best overtake, and of course the big one, who will be driver of the day. And your first winner this weekend is Sima Biswas, who has gone with Hamilton on pole position, Valtteri Bottas making it Mercedes 1-2, with George Russell making it through to Q3. I wonder if those predictions would change after seeing practice today, but hey, that's the beauty of early weekend predictions. Sima has also gone with a Mercedes 1-2 in the race, but Bottas to pick up his first victory of the 2021 season. Hamilton and Verstappen will be on the podium with Giovinazzi the first DNF, and I love this, Ricciardo with a triple overtake just like we saw in 2017, love that, and Bottas to be the driver of the day. And your second winner is Vlad Voaku, who has gone a very different route with Perez on pole position, Bottas on the front row and Vettel Q3. And come race day, Vlad has gone with Perez to be victorious for the first time in his Red Bull career, Verstappen second, Bottas third, Ocon to be the first retirement, another one going for Ricciardo getting the overtake of the race, this time on Lando Norris, specifically Norris into turn 1 and Sergio Perez to be driver of the day. And that is it from me for your practice report here in Baku for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Let me know your predictions in the comment section down below. If you are new, feel free to subscribe, like if you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in the next one.